The reluctant accord, the shipyard of Port Halidon, buzzed with whispers as Taris Valen prepared his salvage vessel for what would likely be its final voyage under his command. Tall and weathered, with eyes the color of Nereus's stormy seas, Taris ran his hand along the worn control panel of the mariner's fortune. "You're really going through with this madness?" His first mate Jorah leaned against the doorframe, concern etched across her features. Taris sighed, tucking a loose strand of his sand-colored hair behind his ear. "The Planetary Council made their decision. This marriage secures the deuterium shipments we need before winter. Marrying some alien princess you've never met? That's a steep price, even for deuterium." Emissary Taris corrected. "Lady Zara Nixis is the emissary of Lumina, not a princess." He'd memorized her title, her lineage, everything the council had provided about the woman who would soon be his wife. The diplomatic vessel from Lumina arrived exactly on schedule. Descending through Nereus's cloud cover like a shard of crystal catching the light, Terry straightened his formal attire, uncomfortable ceremonial blues that felt foreign against his skin, accustomed to the practical fabrics of a salvage pilot. The vessel's ramp extended, and Taris held his breath. Lady Zara emerged, her slender form draped in flowing fabrics that seemed to capture and refract light. Her skin was a soft purple hue that shimmered with subtle iridescence. Dark, intricate markings adorned her temples and followed the elegant line of her neck. Her eyes, large and luminous, were the palest silver he had ever seen. Taris bowed stiffly, following protocol. "Lady Nixis, Nereus welcomes you." "Captain Valen," she responded, her voice melodic yet formal. "Lumina is pleased to formalize our alliance." Up close, he noticed the slight tension in her jawline, the careful way she held herself. She was as uncomfortable as he was, though she hid it better. The formal introduction ceremony dragged on, filled with speeches about cosmic harmony and interplanetary cooperation. Taris caught Zara observing him when she thought he wasn't looking, her silver eyes analytical. "You disagree with this arrangement?" she stated later, as they boarded the ceremonial vessel that would take them to the floating palace for the marriage ritual. Taris considered lying, then shrugged. "I'm a salvage pilot, not a diplomat. I belong on the open sea, not in political games. And I am an emissary trained in cosmic energy manipulation, not a bargaining chip," she replied coolly. "Yet here we are." The unexpected candor surprised him. "At least we're honest about our reluctance." A hint of a smile touched her lips before disappearing. "Honesty is rare in diplomatic circles, Captain." Their conversation was cut short when the vessel shuddered violently. Warning lights flashed across the control panel. "Engine malfunction," Terry said, years of piloting experience kicking in. He pushed past the attendants toward the controls. "Navigation systems failing too." Zara moved beside him, her hands hovering over the crystalline pendant at her throat. "These aren't random failures." The ship lurched again, dropping altitude rapidly. Through the viewport, Tari spotted an uncharted moon in their trajectory. "Can you pilot this vessel?" Zara asked. "Different tech, same principles," Taris replied, taking manual control. "But we're going down." "Best I can do is make it survivable." Zara nodded, surprisingly calm. "Then make it survivable, Captain." As they plummeted toward the luminescent surface of the unknown moon, Taris caught her eyes not fearful, but resolute. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. Two strangers bound by politics and now by survival. The vessel skidded across the moon's surface, carving a path through bioluminescent vegetation before coming to a shuddering halt at the edge of a glowing forest, stranded in stardust. The crash site smoldered in the strange twilight of the moon. Taris extracted himself from the control panel debris, wincing at the cut along his forearm. He glanced across the tilted cabin to find Zara already on her feet, her flowing garments torn but her composure intact. "Are you injured?" he asked, surprising himself with his concern. Zara shook her head, her silver eyes scanning their surroundings. "Nothing significant. The vessel's communication array. Destroyed terrace, confirmed after checking the systems. And the emergency beacon is damaged. We're effectively stranded until someone realizes we've gone missing." "Which could be hours or days," Zara concluded. She moved to the shattered viewport, gazing at the landscape beyond. "This moon isn't on any Luminan charts." Taris joined her, momentarily struck by the surreal beauty outside. The vegetation pulsed with bioluminescent swaying fronds and twisting vines that emitted a soft blue glow. Above, the gas giant they had been orbiting dominated the sky, striped surface casting a golden light across the terrain. "We should salvage what we can and find shelter," Taris said, falling back on survival instincts honed through years of dangerous salvage missions. Nights on uncharted moons can bring unexpected challenges. Zara nodded, removing her ornate outer robe to reveal simpler attire beneath. "You seem experienced with emergency situations, Captain." "Occupational hazard," he replied with a half-smile. "And please drop the captain. If we're going to survive this, formalities won't help." "Very well, Taris." His name and her melodic voice sent an unexpected ripple down his spine. They worked methodically, gathering supplies from the wreckage, emergency rations, a medical kit, some basic tools. As dusk deepened, they found shelter in a cave formed by massive crystalline formations that reminded Taris of the architectural sketches he'd seen of Lumina. "These crystals," Zara murmured, brushing her fingers against the surface. "They resonate with similar frequencies to our home crystals." Her pendant glowed faintly in response to her touch on the cave wall. Taris built a small fire from the emergency supplies. The dancing flames illuminated Zara's features, softening her formal demeanor. In the firelight, the markings on her purple skin seemed to shift subtly. "Those markings," Taris ventured, "do they have significance?" Zara's fingers unconsciously traced the patterns on her wrist. "They mark my lineage and my training in cosmic energy manipulation. Each luminan's markings tell their life story." "What does yours say?" She hesitated, then smiled, the first genuine smile he'd seen from her. "That I was born during a stellar convergence, destined for diplomatic service, but with an affinity for the deeper cosmic currents that most of my kind cannot access." "Is that why you were chosen for this marriage alliance?" The smile faded. "Partially. My abilities make me valuable, but also dangerous to certain factions at court." As night fully descended outside, the cave crystals began to glow, responding to an unseen energy. Soon, the entire ceiling sparkled like a map of stars. "It's beautiful," Taris whispered. "It's responding to the moon's magnetic field," Zara explained, her voice equally hushed. "Similar to the Luminan Aurora temples." The crystal light played across her features, and Taris found himself studying her with new interest. She was no longer just the alien diplomat he was forced to marry, but a woman with depth and knowledge, facing adversity with quiet strength. When a particularly bright pulse rippled across the crystals, Zara gasped with unexpected delight. The sound, so unguarded, so genuine, made Taris smile. Their eyes met across the fire, and something shifted between them. Not quite trust, perhaps the beginning of understanding. Outside, aurora-like waves began to dance across the moon's atmosphere, casting shifting colors through the cave entrance. Without discussion, they moved to watch the spectacle together, shoulders nearly touching as they stood in silent appreciation of the cosmic display. Veils of truth, dawn broke with a gentle vibration that hummed through the crystal cave. Taris awoke to find Zara already up, her hands hovering over one particularly large crystal formation at the back of their shelter. Her pendant glowed brightly, matching the pulsing light emanating from the wall. "What are you doing?" he asked, approaching cautiously. "These crystals," she said without turning, "they're arranged in patterns identical to ancient Luminan script, and they're responding to my energy signature." With a final gesture, the crystal wall shifted, revealing a hidden passage beyond. Taris stared in amazement. "How did you, my people, have worked with crystal energies for millennia?" she explained. "This formation is artificial, not natural." They ventured into the passage, which descended gently into the moon's surface. The walls were lined with intricate carvings depicting two distinct civilizations meeting among the stars. "This one," Taris said, tracing a carving of people emerging from ocean waves, "looks like ancient Nerean glyphs. But that's impossible. Our ancestors never ventured this far into space. And these are unmistakably Luminan energy weavers," Zara added, pointing to figures surrounded by crystal formations. "Working alongside the ocean dwellers." The passage opened into a vast chamber dominated by a massive dome of interlocking crystals. Beneath it stood an altar-like structure where two artifacts, a stoda, crystalline sphere, and a device made of coral-like material. "Our worlds weren't always separated," Zara whispered, her silver eyes wide. "Our histories have been ... altered." Taris picked up the coral device, which hummed to life at his touch. "Someone wanted our civilizations to forget each other." They spent hours examining the chamber, discovering records that suggested an ancient alliance between their worlds that had been deliberately obscured by a third party for reasons lost to time. As they rested by the central altar, an uncomfortable silence settled between them. "I should tell you something," Zara finally said. "This marriage. I agreed to it not just for diplomatic reasons." She traced her markings absently. "My cousin Varix covets my position. My abilities threaten him. Leaving Lumina was a way to escape his machinations." Taris nodded slowly. "And I have my own confession. My family's salvage business has been struggling since my father's death. We're deeply in debt. This alliance would secure not just deuterium for Nereus, but financial salvation for my family. So we're both using this marriage as escape," she said with a sad smile. "I thought you were just another entitled diplomat," Taris admitted. "I never expected ... a fellow fugitive," she finished. Their laughter echoed through the ancient chamber, releasing weeks of tension. When it subsided, they found themselves sitting closer, the space between them charged with new awareness. In another life, under different circumstances ... Taris began, but didn't finish. Zara's hand found his, her purple fingers intertwining with his sun-bronzed ones. "Perhaps this is that life, Therese." The dome above them caught the last rays of the setting sun, scattering rainbow light across their faces. When their lips met, it felt inevitable, not the political union they had dreaded, but something born of genuine connection. As night fell, they remained in the chamber, their bodies finding a rhythm that transcended their different worlds. Beneath the crystal dome, surrounded by evidence of their shared history, they discovered a passion neither had expected: her cool skin against his warmth, his strength matched by her grace, two bodies learning each other beneath the watchful stars. Later, as they lay entwined on their makeshift bed, Zara traced the scar along his shoulder. "Do you think anyone is looking for us?" Before Tyrese could answer, a familiar humming filled the chamber. The coral device had activated, projecting a map showing an approaching vessel. "Someone's found us," he said, "but something tells me our ordeal isn't over yet." Cosmic Conspiracy, the rescue vessel, hovered above the crash site, its searchlights cutting through the moon's perpetual twilight. Therese and Zara emerged from the temple entrance, their newfound closeness concealed behind carefully neutral expressions. "That's a Luminan diplomatic cruiser," Zara whispered, her pendant dimming against her throat as she recognized the insignia. "Not the joint rescue party we would expect." Terrace's hand briefly brushed hers. "Could be coincidence?" "In my experience, there are no coincidences in interstellar politics." Her silver eyes narrowed. "Be cautious about what you reveal." The cruiser's ramp extended, and a tall, Luminan male descended, his purple skin several shades darker than Zara's. With markings that mirrored hers in pattern but not placement, his smile didn't reach his eyes. "Cousin," he greeted with exaggerated relief, "when your vessel disappeared, I personally volunteered to lead the search." "Varix," Zara acknowledged coolly. "How fortunate you found us so quickly, indeed." Varix's gaze slid to Tari's, assessing and dismissive. "The Nerean captain survives as well." "Excellent." As they boarded the cruiser, Taris noted the crew's deference to Varix, rather than Zara, despite her higher rank. In the medical bay, while being treated for minor injuries, he overheard technicians discussing the unfortunate navigation malfunction of their original vessel. Strange that both navigation and communications failed simultaneously. Taris commented when he and Zara were briefly alone in the ship's observation lounge. Not strange, deliberate. Zara showed him a data crystal she'd palmed from the medical console. The diagnostic report shows evidence of tampering, efticated but detectable. Taris absorbed this information. Your cousin wants to prevent our marriage alliance. Or ensure my permanent disappearance, she added grimly. Had we not survived the crash? The moon's temple complicates matters, Taris realized. The historical evidence challenges the separation between our world separation that benefits certain factions. They fell silent as Varix entered, flanked by two security officers whose hands rested too casually near their weapons. We'll reach the ceremonial station within 6 hours, Varix announced. The marriage ritual will proceed immediately. The alliance must not be delayed further. His smile was razor-thin. Unless, of course, either of you wishes to withdraw after such a traumatic experience. The alliance stands, Taris stated firmly, meeting Zara's eyes across the room. As does our commitment. Back at the ceremonial station, orbiting between their worlds, they were separated for traditional preparation rituals. Taris found Jorah waiting in his assigned quarters. Something's wrong, she murmured, activating a signal scrambler. The Luminan delegation has replaced half the security detail with their own people, Taris confirmed. He orchestrated our crash, and now he's planning something during the ceremony. When the ceremony began in the station's grand hall, Taris stood beneath the symbolic arch of joined worlds. Watching Zara approach in traditional Luminan attire, her eyes conveyed a silent warning she'd noticed something. As they spoke the ritual words of unification, Varix moved to present the ceremonial binding crystals. Zara's pendant suddenly flared brilliant blue, a warning pulse of energy that caused Taris to instinctively pull her aside. As energy weapons discharged where they had been standing, chaos erupted. Security forces loyal to Varix moved against the assembled dignitaries while Varix himself lunged for the central control panel. He's trying to decompress the chamber, Zara shouted, her hands weaving complex patterns as she created an energy barrier around them. Taris tackled a guard, seizing his weapon and using his salvage pilot's reflexes to disable 2 more. The station controls? That way. Zara pointed while maintaining her shield. Together they fought their way across the ceremonial hall, her energy manipulation deflecting attacks When they reached the control center, they found themselves working in perfect tandem, her knowledge of Luminan systems complementing his technical skills. Like we've done this before, Taris remarked, as they secured the station and trapped Varix's forces in containment fields. Zara's smile was fierce. Perhaps our ancestors did. When the station's legitimate security finally regained control, Varix stood defiant before the assembled representatives of both worlds. You fools, he spat. The ancient separation exists for a reason. Combined, your peoples would disrupt the balance of power throughout this sector. Balance that benefits you and your consortium, Zara countered. Standing proudly beside Taris, the truth will be investigated, all of it, including what we discovered on the moon. As Varix was led away, the dignitaries looked to the intended couple with new respect. The assassination attempt had failed, but it had also transformed a political arrangement into something far more significant. Convergent Stars 1 month after Varix's failed coup. Taris stood at the viewing portal of the newly constructed Embassy of Convergence. Watching shuttles arrive from both Nereus and Lumina, the space station, hastily repurposed from an old trading post, orbited precisely between their worlds, a physical manifestation of their new relationship. Having second thoughts? Zara's voice came from behind him. She wore simplified Luminan attire, her ceremonial headpiece absent, making her look less like an emissary and more like herself. Taris turned, still struck by how naturally they had fallen into partnership. About the alliance? No, about the ceremony. He gestured to his formal attire, a blend of Nerean blue and Luminon crystal accents. Still not comfortable in diplomatic dress, she laughed, the sound no longer rare between them. The formal union is a political necessity after everything that's happened. But whatever words we speak today, her fingers intertwined with his, our real commitment was made beneath that crystal dome. The discovery of the Moon Temple had sparked intensive research. Archaeological teams had confirmed what they suspected thousands of years ago. Nereans and Luminans had been close allies, perhaps even a single civilization that had diverged. The separation had been engineered by outside forces during an ancient conflict, and maintained through millennia, by powerful interests who benefited from keeping the worlds divided. Varix's consortium had merely been the latest caretakers of this deception. The Historical Commission wants to name the moon, Tari said. They've suggested convergence since it brought our worlds together again. Fitting, Zara replied. Her silver eyes turned serious. You know this union won't be easy. There are still those who resist the alliance. When has anything worthwhile ever been easy? He brushed his thumb across her markings. My people have a saying, the fiercest storms forge the strongest vessels. And mine believe that stars which orbit each other eventually converge. She leaned into his touch. Perhaps we were always meant to find that moon, ceremonial hall filled with representatives from both worlds. Unlike the formal political arrangement originally planned, this ceremony had evolved into something more meaningful. Scholars from both planets had worked to reconstruct the ancient shared rituals discovered in the temple records. When they stood before their peoples, Taris and Zara spoke words that had not been uttered for millennia, promises of unity that transcended political convenience. 2 stars. Distinct but orbiting a common center, they recited together. Instead of the traditional binding crystals, they each held a piece of the artifacts from the temple, the crystalline sphere now divided into halves that fit together perfectly as they joined the pieces. Energy rippled between them, visible to everyone, presents Ara's cosmic abilities responding to something awakening in Tari's as well. The temple artifacts had changed them both, activating dormant connections to their shared ancestral past. The convergence is not just between our worlds, Zara whispered for his ears alone, but within us. Later, as celebration continued around them, they slipped away to their private quarters with views of both their homeworlds. What now, Captain? Zara asked, her formal facade completely gone in private. Taris pulled her close. Now we rebuild what was lost, together, against the backdrop of stars. Their silhouettes merged as they embraced not the reluctant diplomatic partners they had once been, but pioneers of a new era. Their unexpected journey had begun with a forced arrangement and a crashed ship, but as their lips met beneath the light of their twin worlds, both knew their convergence had been written in the stars long before either of them existed. In the distance, visible through their viewport, the small moon where they had crashed continued its eternal orbit, a silent witness to history repeating itself. But this time with hope. Instead of separation, and unity instead of division,